Hey, welcome back. I'm Ferrickster, here to bring you some more Pokemon Go Battle League battles. These battles are played in the Remix Cup. I'm still playing that cup, and it's going all right. Today I am number 13 on the leaderboard, and I've gotten this far without using an ABB team. Most of the teams that I'm encountering are starting to feel kind of stale. It's either like double charm in the back, or double steel in the back, or double fighter in the back. And those three things are designed to hard counter each other and get hard countered the other way. And I mean, that just, for me, that doesn't seem to be a fun way to play the game. I like to have a team that has some play against everything so that there's, when the match starts, there's a path to victory that at least exists that I can pursue. I think that, is a good way to build your team because it encourages you to be a better battler. Just because, every match is not like a surefire victory or a surefire loss. It's determined by you and by your skills and how you play it out. But let's hop into these games to see how I got to number 13. So my first match is against MrKnoll at all. I am opening Pelipper. It's the same team as in my last video. Pelipper with Whiscash and Medicham in the back. I did switch Medicham from having Psychic to Ice Punch because it gives me a little bit more play against some of the flyers that I was starting to see more of in the back, and I was finding that I wasn't really using Psychic anyway. So I actually had made a catch in this first game. I switched into Whiscash to catch a oh my gosh, what's it called? A Flash Cannon from Registeel. So that was a nice play, and then I was greeted with Sableye, and Whiscash outpaces Sableye a little bit. And I'm glad to see the Sableye here because I really just don't want to see it against Medicham. Sableye shuts Medicham down pretty hard. So this is Steel with, because it's weak to fighting in the front, has double anti-fighter in the back. So Sableye is pretty good at taking out Medicham. And Altaria also pretty good against taking out fighters. Altaria is still a problem for me, for sure. I don't have any steel in my team, so I don't have a hard response. But now that I'm running Ice Punch on Medicham, I can at least, if I can get an Ice Punch through, it does reasonable damage. And since they no-shielded that first one, now at this point, I'm kind of just safe to shield everything and just power-up punch my way through. Thanks to landing that Weather Ball in the first place. So, going to use this power-up punch to ramp up my counter damage. They switch out back into their Registeel, and at this point the game is pretty much over. Since that Regi didn't have any energy banked up from before, since I had caught on Whiscash, I'm able to just counter down. And really, after just one power-up punch, you can straight counter down a Regi that starts with no energy. But I end up throwing I threw a second power-up punch to ramp up my attack further just because I didn't need to save up that much energy for Altaria. I'll win CMP, but I mean, if they had a move bank, they would have been able to take me out there. But I still had Pelipper in the back, so it would have been okay. But yeah, managed to take that first game. So next up, against Karchamal. Pelipper into Bronzong. Bronzong is kind of a niche pick. I haven't been seeing too much of that. Pelipper has an okay matchup. As long as I don't let them sneak in a confusion, I can, obviously outpace just fine. So I throw the first Weather Ball. It's looking like I'm going to end up having to throw a third one. I tried to CMP tie with a Psyshock there, but they ended up sneaking in a confusion, so that's not great. And now I make what I would consider a mistake, and I decide to let Pelipper go down and bring out Whiscash. I had 2 shields left. I probably should have just shielded the charge move because I would have been able to put on more pressure with the Weather Ball Waters anyway. So they swapped into Vigoroth, and I was a little bit slower to the swap than I would like to be. If I get Medicham out fast enough, I can prevent them from getting to a second move without having to throw the extra power-up punch. So, I would have been able to bank up some more energy. But most likely, Bronzong is going to come out anyway, so that probably wouldn't really help me that much. I mean, my charge moves do nothing to Bronzong. Even if I was carrying Psychic, it would be double resisted, so that would be even worse. So really, the best move at this point is just to power up punch, shield, and try to punch the whole way down. And hopefully whatever they have in the back I can kind of handle. It's a Politoed. Okay, so this is Not amazing, but I definitely misplay this a little bit right here. So I throw this power-up punch, and right now my counters are like double, triple boosted, I think. I should have thrown another counter before I switched out, but I switched out to Whiscash right away, and that's a mistake. Because if I had thrown in one more or two more of these boosted counters, the Mud Bomb that I'm about to throw would KO. And naturally, they have a shield, so they would have shielded this first one, and this second one that I can throw would have taken them out. I would have been able to throw it right away, and I wouldn't have had to take this Weather Ball. And even if I did, that would be fine, because, you know, I'm not in confusion downrange. I would be able to get to another Mud Bomb. I get to my last Mud Bomb, but they CMP tie me and throw, and you can see from their health, if I had thrown one or two more counters, even one counter that was like triple boosted, it would have been enough, and Whiscash would have been able to take out the Bronzong. So, GG to my opponent, but I definitely misplayed that. There was a path to victory for me there, I missed it. So, next matchup against Bubble, who opens with Charm Ninetales, or Charm Alolan Ninetales. So Charm Ninetales is kind of tough for my team. I don't have any steel, so I don't have a direct response to Charmers. So it always requires a bit of finessing when I encounter a lot of them. I know since they have Charm here, they probably have two anti-steel options in the back, which are probably fighters or ground types. Either way, I'm pretty safe to switch into Whiscash. So I do that, and I throw this Mud Bomb before they're able to get to another Weather Ball, just so that I can, you know, take them out. If they want to exchange shields, that's fine with me. But no, they let it go down, and there's a Politoed back there. So this is okay. Politoed doesn't do great. Politoed gets countered fairly hard by Pelipper, so even though Whiscash will end up going down here, I'll be able to come in with Pelipper and kind of farm up some energy, because the Weather Balls will be resisted by Pel. So with Whiscash, I'm just throwing out these Mud Bombs when I have them. I could have probably like banked up some energy to try to maybe make them lose count, but at this level, the opponents are too good for that, generally speaking. So, you know, they CMP tie me there and take me out with the Weather Ball. They're throwing this right away, so I am confident that this is just the Weather Ball water, so I no-shield that. And I switch out to Medicham to try to counter them down, and luckily for me, there's Diggersby in the back. So this is all right for me. I just need to throw power-up punches to ramp up my counter damage. Diggersby is super, super tanky, but I mean, you know, these counters are super effective, and at this point after here, they will be double boosted. This was a CMP tie, so they could be baiting Fire Punch here, but I decide to shield anyway, and thankfully it is the Earthquake. It's the bigger move. Earthquake wouldn't take me out. It would just do about like 60 or so % damage, maybe 65. So if they had baited Fire Punch and landed the Earthquake, I still would be okay at this point. And the Politoed is really low, so I just throw this power-up punch to take them out. And they don't bother shielding because they know that it's over. So GG. All right. So next up against JMark X1, who as of today is #1 on the leaderboard. So this is what that person is running. So Deoxys Defense. Here they throw at exactly 5, so this is for sure a Psycho Boost. And I should have read this as, you know, they want to do this damage and get out, so I probably should have shielded that. Because in the back there's a Charmer, so most likely this is Deoxys Double Charm. So I switch out to Whiscash too early. This is a common theme in this set. I've made this mistake a couple of times. I needed to do more Wing Attack. Wing Attack does a lot more damage than these Mud Shots do. So if I had Wing Attacked more, I would have brought Wigglytuff down into Mud Bomb range. As it is here, I'm not able to Mud Shot down, so I end up shielding this so that I can get out my next Mud Shot and, you know, kind of maintain alignment. Not that that really matters that much in this game. And I'm forced to throw this next Mud Shot because, again, didn't Wing Attack enough, so they weren't in Mud Shot plus Mud Bomb range. So that's definitely a misplay in the early parts of this game. Could have played that out a little bit better. And here I send out Medicham. They throw at exactly 5, so this is another Psycho Boost. Probably should shield it because it does more damage than a Weather Ball Ice from this Alolan Ninetales. So I throw the power-up punch, and now I'm just trying to get out and get to the Hurricane. If I can get to the Hurricane, I can turn this game around, but Got charmed down, wasn't quite able to make it. Probably should have shielded the psycho boost, the first psycho boost. When they threw that right away without baiting, I should have recognized that they wanted to do the damage. But you know, that's like a bit of like player recognition. And yeah. So in this next matchup, you opened Melmetal, and I send Medicham out right away. So they respond with Alolan Ninetales, but this one is the Powder Snow variant. So they are throwing this too early to be a Dazzling Gleam, so I know it's just a Weather Ball Ice. So at this point, I know that I can take Switch Advantage back if I need it, and I would definitely prefer to have it because Pelipper doesn't have a great matchup against Melmetal. So throwing the Power-Up Punches to ramp up my damage, I get a shield there, which is great, and I am just going to throw, or, well, I guess I'm not going to have to throw this next Power-Up Punch. I can just charge up. Shield that Weather Ball, and they aggressively swap into Cast Form. And, I mean, it's debatable what I should have done here, but I end up throwing this Power-Up Punch, and I should throw this next one as soon as I have it, but instead, building up a little, and they sneak in an Ember. So I throw this Ice Punch. Doesn't quite take them out. If I had gotten one more counter in other words, if I had prevented them from sneaking in an Ember, if my fast move denial was better, they wouldn't have been they would have simultaneous KO'd, but that's okay. I bring in Whiscash. I can take the Weather Ball Fire, no problem. They weren't quite high enough in energy to have the Solar Beam yet. And Melmetal comes out. So, I mean, this is fine. I throw my Mud Bomb. It ends up CMP tying with the Melmetal. So, pretty sure I'll be able to draw the last shield here because they already reduced their defense. And at this point, I can survive a Superpower. They switch out into Ninetales. Almost caught my move. But I switch into Pelipper and Wing Attack this down. So I'm not like out of the woods yet on this. The Melmetal can easily survive this first Weather Ball, and after this, if they can, you know, charge up enough energy and throw a Rock Slide and then have a Superpower ready for Whiscash, they'll win CMP, so they could totally take this. They're not quite at that much energy, so they throw the Superpower to try to just barely take me out. Superpower is a little bit cheaper than throwing the Rock Slide, or perhaps they have Thunderbolt. Yeah, but doesn't quite take me out. I'm able to reach my next Weather Ball and take out the Melmetal. GG. So a 3 of 5 set. I'm at 3181. I get a Stunfisk, which is great. I could definitely use the XL candy. I only have like 100 and I think like 10 at this point, so I'm pretty far away. And I go up to 3195. So next set. Up against one Pronged attack. Pelipper into Jellicent. So this is a bait-dependent matchup. If they bait with Bubble Beam, that's... I mean, for one, that's kind of unusual. I'm not getting a lot of Bubble Beam baits at my MMR. Maybe you're seeing them at yours. But for the most part, for me, they have been going straight Shadow Ball. I build up to well past a Hurricane and then throw the Hurricane. Just trying to get my fast moves lined up correctly with my charge move timing. And thankfully, they no shield. So now I just throw this Weather Ball Water. And if they want to shield it, that's fine. I will just shield the the Shadow Ball that they're throwing. I would barely survive that, but I'd rather remain healthy. And they aggressively swap into Politoed. So that's fine with me. I built up to a not quite a Hurricane before throwing this Weather Ball, and they shield thinking that maybe it was the Hurricane. That's fantastic for me. So I'm not going to reach my next Hurricane before they reach the Blizzard, so I switch out to Medicham to catch the Blizzard. They would have thrown it as soon as they had it because, you know, they don't know how close I am to the Hurricane. And I'm not quite in Weather Ball down range yet, so I should have thrown my Power Punch as soon as I had it instead of building up like this. They're out of shields anyway, so it's not like I need to bait the Psychic, you know? Throw this Power Punch, and now I'm going to throw this next Power Punch as soon as I have that, and I am getting really close to being mud-shotted down, and they will have a Blizzard if they do. So, don't quite make it. We simultaneous KO. That didn't need to be quite that close, though. I'm waiting out the switch clock, but my opponent resigns the game. I guess they don't have a response to Pelipper, and they needed to land that Blizzard. So, because they went down with all of that energy, that's the end of that. And I think I actually ended up finishing that set on stream, so this is actually a new set next day. During that set, I had climbed up to, I think, like 3230 or so. And I was just running this straight team. So, you know, aside from the sets that I'm showing you, there were 3 or 4 sets on stream that I don't show you that were also, for the most part, generally positive. But yeah, hopping into this next set. Pelipper against Wigglytuff. I like to, get up to and throw the extra weather balls because, now this Wigglytuff is in Mud Bomb range. So, not making the same mistake I had made the other day. Building up some extra energy since they aren't swapping out before I throw this Mud Bomb. And yeah, take out that Wigglytuff, and there's a Diggersby in the back. So it's good that I had built up extra energy because it enables me to reach this Blizzard before they get to the Earthquake. It's 8 mud shots to the Earthquake, but it takes 9 to get to a Blizzard. So thankfully I had that extra energy. And now I'm going to shield here because they're very unlikely to throw the Fire Punch. So shielding the Earthquake, building up to almost a Blizzard, but I feel like I can just get away throwing this Mud Bomb in. I figured I would either draw a shield or it would take them out, but they are so tanky, so I actually didn't. And they switch into Altaria, which is really bad for me. And I should have swapped to Medicham immediately. Instead, I built up to and threw this Blizzard, which enables them to outpace me. I get to this Ice Punch, and I throw that as soon as I have it. Doesn't quite do as much as I need it to do. And yeah, they're going to throw this Sky Attack. It's going to not quite take me out. And this is actually one of those incidents where having the XL Medicham would be a lot better. XL Medicham can survive that and, get to a second Ice Punch. I'm only able to get to a Power Punch. It's not quite enough. And the Altaria, ended with enough energy to get to the Sky Attack, so they take out my Pelipper. And now, because I didn't bait and instead just threw the Blizzard, I'm not able to get to the Blizzard. I'm only able to get to the Mud Bomb, and it's not quite enough. So there were a lot of minor things in this particular matchup that I could have done a little bit better that I didn't. If I had better IVs on Medicham, or if I, had baited with Whiscash, we would have had a different game. But wasn't quite able to pull that together, and that's all right. GG to my opponent. That was a really close game, and that's how I prefer my games to be. All right, so next opponent is Dunebug, who opens Shadow Mawile, and Shadow Mawile dies to everything on my team, so it is my favorite opening to see. Switches into Pelipper. I think I actually encountered Dunebug the day before, and he was running Lantern and something else in the back. I think a Charmer. So, it's good to see that he changed up his team a little bit because his backline was really, really weak to a Pelipper opening and got completely shut down by Whiscash in the back. So now we've got more of a game. I shielded the first charge move that could have been a Hurricane, but this one came too early, so it was definitely a Weather Ball. And I wing attack the rest of the way down. So now he still has a Charmer in the back with Wigglytuff. I throw this Weather Ball, and he sneaks in an extra Charm. So I wanted to transfer this Charm away, but for whatever reason, the game doesn't let me, and my Pelipper just straight faints. So I throw Whiscash in, and he sends me Mawile again. Whiscash shuts Mawile down pretty hard, resists all of his charge moves. But I probably should have swapped out to Medicham because Whiscash has a much better matchup against Wigglytuff than Medicham does. Instead, I switch in a little bit too late, just in time to catch an Iron Head that hits for neutral, whereas against Whiscash, it would have hit for nearly nothing. So Wigglytuff comes out. They still have 2 shields, so at this point I just need to go straight Power Up Punch to ramp up my counter damage. And because I got a shield there, I'm able to just, throw this Mud Bomb, and I have another Mud Bomb ready. I have a shield, and I definitely outpace Wigglytuff by a lot. So Dunebug kind of just resigns the game, doesn't shield, and lets it go through. And yeah, managed to take that game. GG. My line is really, really hard for his line, though. Shadow Mawile, it's hard to come back from a Shadow Mawile lead against our team, against my team. I guess you don't have to run it if you don't want to. All right, Pelipper against Charm Ninetales. Charm Ninetales is kind of a problem for me. Pelipper does okay, Whiscash does okay against Charmers, but Medicham does not, so kind of need to pull this through with Pelipper. Thankfully, in the back, it's generally, anti-steal in the back. So they usually won't have hard counters to Whiscash or Medicham back there. I switch in and I get a Deoxys Defense. So, like, I'm looking at this, and if Deoxys Defense is their best response to Whiscash, then I should probably try to retain Whiscash. So, I think I end up shielding this move, anticipating that it was the Psycho Boost, and it was actually just a Rock Slide. So that was a totally wasted shield. Rock Slide does very, very little to Whiscash. You're going to see because they're going to throw another one before they go down. Does like 20%, 15%, something like that. 15% or so. It's not that much. Definitely a wasted shield, but I thought it was going to be the Psycho Boost. Like, that would have made sense. But looks like that Deoxys is running, what's it called? Thunderbolt, and Rock Slide doesn't have the Psycho Boost, so that's fine. Throwing this Mud Bomb, and now I'm switching out to Pelipper because, I mean, you know, I know their line at this point. I'm just trying to throw... I was hoping to get the Ninetales to come back out, but nope, they end up staying in, and they throw this Power-Up Punch, which is... It enables me to get to this Weather Ball. So, yeah, I'm going to eat up the last shield here, and now I just send Medicham out. And my opponent makes a minor mistake here, which is they build up to a foul play, and then they switch out to Ninetales. They should have either switched out right away to try to get to a Weather Ball before I was able to get to a Power Punch and take them out, or they should have thrown their foul play while it was still boosted, because they had thrown a Power Punch before. They could have done a little bit more damage with the foul play if they'd thrown it earlier, but as it wasn't quite enough either way, and I'm able to take them out. And then my game glitches out, so I go back to my home screen, so that's cool too. Very well programmed, glitch-free game. All right, Pelipper into Medicham. This looks like a strongly positive matchup, but it's actually only kind of positive. Like, I really like Pelipper in the lead because it doesn't hard counter that many things, but it doesn't get hard countered by that many things in this current meta. So even Medicham, a fighter, definitely has play. They throw the Ice Punch, which is kind of a bait move, and that means that they are probably going to build up to a Psychic next, so I'm going to end up having to double shield this. So I end up having to, even against a fighter, against Medicham is kind of strong, and I end up having to go down a shield to win switch. And then they switch out actively into Victini, which tells me that, like, because it was an active swap, like, this Victini maybe isn't their best answer to Pelipper, but I switch out to Whiscash to maintain Pel in case the thing that they have in the back is really bad against Pel. And yeah, take a V-Crate, which does not do nearly as much damage as I expected it to, but those confusions are chunking. So here they send out Medicham, and I should have recognized that this is being sent out as a damage sponge, and I shouldn't have thrown the Mud Bomb right away. And yeah, there's a Shadow Kanto Ninetales on the back. So I throw this Mud Bomb and get the last shield, and here I should have thrown my Mud Bomb as soon as I had it, instead of trying to, like, you know, not waste energy. I just needed to get it out, but, you know, I'm able to barely survive that Weather Ball anyway, but yeah, there was no need for me to do that to try to prevent them from getting in an extra Ember. I just should have thrown out the Mud Bomb as soon as I had it. That was way too close. They could have flipped this matchup if that Weather Ball did a little bit more damage. But okay. Managed to pull that out anyway. GG to my opponent. That was closer than I needed it to be. All right. Pelipper against Medicham again. Medicham, again, staying in. So, you know, I don't know if this is another Medicham double fire, if someone just popularized that, or if this is something else. So, I'm going to shield this first move, and thankfully, it's not a bait. It is the Psychic. And yeah, there's a Lickitung in the back. I built up a bunch of extra energy, which maybe is a mistake. I probably should have just switched out to Medicham faster to get my power-up punches in before they were able to build up so much energy. So they're built up to a lot of energy, but I'm going to no-shield this. Hopefully it is just a body slam, and it is. So I survived that just fine. And yeah, throw this power-up punch so that my counters will do more damage. But because I built up so much extra energy with Pelipper, they are able to get to this second move. And I'm going to have to shield this because if I took this body slam plus the extra licks, it would have taken me out. And yeah, Medicham comes back out. I build up a little bit of extra energy, and then, you know, to kind of feign that this is a Psychic is just the Ice Punch. And yeah, since they no-shielded, I am going to switch into Pelipper because I have tons of energy stored up and I can throw back to back. So even if they shield, it would have been a waste of a shield. And there is a Bastiodon in the back, so that's fine. Like, Whiscash is a total wall to Bastiodon, and Pelipper... At this point, I'm just throwing these Weather Ball Waters to maybe switch out so my Pelipper doesn't have to faint. You know, if you can prevent your Pokemon from fainting, that's the kind thing to do. Prevent them from getting KO'd. But yeah, not able to get out of here fast enough, so I'm just throwing all these Weather Balls. They are doing tons of damage. I can see from how much the Weather Balls are doing that this is an XL Bastiodon, because it would survive 3. And yeah, sent Medicham out to try to maybe prevent them from seeing my backline Pokemon in case I encounter them again, but you know. End up having to send Whiscash out, and my opponent's like, alright, fine, you got me. You know, Whiscash is a wall to Bastiodon. So yeah, wrapped up this 4 out of 5 set. I get a shield on, which is fantastic. I need to keep trading these out to try to get a good XL Bastiodon. I do not have one. I have actually never even built a Dex Bastiodon because it's always been this Pokemon that I've been chasing better IVs on. I didn't have a good enough one before XL, and I don't now that there is XL, so I've just never gotten to build one. All right, so hopping to this next set against Fluffy, who is opening Mew. I managed to sneak in a Wing Attack, which is great. So if they're running normal Surf Wild Charge, even if they, you know, bait Surfs twice, they're gonna have to sneak in Shadow Claws also if they're able to get to the Wild Charge before I'm able to get to my next Weather Ball. So they no-shield the first one, so that's fine with me. I'm going to throw this next Weather Ball, and, you know, at this point we are even shields, and as long as I throw my Weather Balls as soon as I have them, even if they bait constantly, they won't be able to reach the Wild Charge, but this Mew is running freaking Stone Edge, so, I mean, that's different, and I don't know the counts for that, so I throw this Weather Ball probably way too early. I could have definitely thrown, like, 2 or 3 more Wing Attacks. But that's all right. Not taking those Shadow Claws means that I'm still not actually in foul play range from the Mandibuzz. I CMP tie them there, and I mean, I'm out of shields, so I take a Dark Pulse and barely survive. So since it wasn't a foul play, I'm just going to let them take me out. And now I guess I'm going to send in Whiscash, because I can easily tank Dark Pulses with Whiscash. Build up to the Blizzard. This first Dark Pulse, you can see, I am able to survive 2 of them. They'd have to throw 3 to take me out. I didn't throw the Blizzard as soon as I had it, and I probably should have, because, you know, could have either forced the last shield or taken out the Mandibuzz, but instead I'm ending up baiting with Mud Bomb, which maybe could have drawn a shield, but because, you know, they ended up throwing their Dark Pulse right before they were out of energy, so of course they're going to no-shield. Build up to the Blizzard, throw the Blizzard, still don't get the last shield, and there's a Beedrill in the back. This is bad for me. Beedrill, you know, double resists counter, being Poison and Bug. So I am not out of the woods right now. I land my Mud Bomb, which is honestly great. I throw this Power-Up Punch as soon as I have it. Probably should have built up the 6 to bait the Ice Punch. But I get the shield anyway. That is fantastic. And now I'm going to have to take this Charge Attack. It is just the X-Scissor, though. So, I don't know, maybe they don't have Drill Run. They get to another move here, and if this was a Drill Run, it would take me out, but it's just an X-Scissor. I don't know the moveset. Maybe they have Sludge Bomb back there. That would actually make a lot of sense, because there are a lot of Charmers lately. But, yeah, managed to take that out. GG to my opponent. That was really close, though. I was really worried about that. All right, next matchup against Cheap. Pelipper into Sableye. Sableye is kind of tough. Pelipper is honestly my best response already. So gonna stay in with this and, you know, just try to sneak in a Wing Attack. They throw it exactly 6, so, you know, a lot of times when you throw exactly at the amount, your opponent is more likely to be able to sneak in a charge move, or be able to sneak in an extra fast move. I try to fast move deny, but they sneak in a Shadow Claw, and that's fine, I guess. You know, we're back to being even. Shield the first Weather Ball, and that's okay. Pelipper wins this in the 2 shield, so I just shield this foul play. And now they switch out to Victory Bell, and I make a huge mistake throwing the Hurricane. I should have just thrown the Weather Ball. Weather Ball does a lot. And yeah, I would have been able to throw 2 Weather Balls, get the shield, and, you know, do a bunch of damage. And they would have fainted by this time before they were able to get to a Leaf Blade. Because they didn't, or because I didn't throw the Weather Ball, they're able to land this Leaf Blade, which does tremendous damage. I'm able to get to this Ice Punch, but there's lag, so I don't, and instead die. And now Whiscash has to come out and take Pointing Leaves to the face and Mud Shot the whole way down. So this is going really, really badly. Bad decision on my part and also lag, so I wasn't able to get out that Ice Punch. They try to catch a Blizzard on Fortress to be fancy, but, don't manage to do that, so I'm just going to throw Mud Bombs, and they do, okay damage. If I had full health, if I hadn't taken all those Leaf Blades, or if I hadn't taken all those Razor Leafs, maybe could have turned that game around, but, sometimes the game will lag you, and, if you also make a bad decision on top of that, then, it's a lot to overcome. So GG to my opponent. I could have played that better, and the game could have not lagged on me, but, it is what it is. That's going to happen. There have definitely been times where my opponents could have thrown a move and didn't, and I was looking at it like, why didn't they throw? And that's probably what it was. It was probably lag. So, it happens to everybody. It's fine. It's balanced. So here I didn't throw my Mud Bomb as soon as I should have and ended up having to shield. So I undercharged this Mud Bomb so that I can at least get some of that energy back. Mud shotting down this Skuntank, which is a really spicy pick. That is... Haven't seen a lot of those. This is actually the first one. But okay, so their Whiscash comes back out. I land the Blizzard, anticipating that they weren't going to shield it. And now I'm just going to throw this Mud Bomb, which will get them really low if they no shield. And they are going to have to throw. And once you throw a Mud Bomb, they can't have a Blizzard stored. So after I take this, I'm able to send out Pelipper, and I can take I just have to throw this Weather Ball before they're able to get to 2 or 3 Mud Shots, because then they can't possibly have the Blizzard, and there's a Beedrill in the back, so at that point, it was GG. I would have just wing attacked pretty much the whole way down. They wouldn't have been able to stop me. All right, next up against Dust Boot. Pelipper into Frostlass. Frostlass is bad for my backline, so it is good to see it here in the lead. Frostlass is really not a popular pick right now, and that's good for me because it is devastating to my team. Pelipper can beat it in the 2-shield, as long as they don't sneak in moves, or if I manage to sneak in an even amount of moves. So throw this Weather Ball. They no-shield it, so at this point I can just throw the next one as soon as I have it, and they'll have to shield, and I'll be able to wing attack down now that I've landed one. So their fast move denial is totally adequate, not like mine, and I'm forced to shield this Avalanche, and I don't manage to sneak in a move. They have Vigoroth in the back, and I catch this Body Slam on Medicham, which doesn't even make sense. I should have switched to Medicham right away and started, because then I can throw these power punches faster, and they won't be able to get to a third. Might not be able to anyway. If they wanted to, they could have shielded this power punch, and actually that would have enabled them to get to a third Body Slam, which would have taken me out, which would have been not great. Frostlass comes back out, and I guess I forgot that they had nearly no energy, so I end up throwing this pup right away. They switch out into Politoed, and they throw their Weather Ball as soon as they have it, so that they're able to take out my Medicham. My Pelipper is still not in Weather Ball water range, so I build up and CMP tie them, throwing what could have been a Hurricane, but I'm actually just baiting with the Weather Ball water. I get the last shield, so that's fine. I'm going to survive this Weather Ball just barely. Not just barely. They'll have to throw a second one. 3, 4. I CMP tie them here, throwing the Hurricane. Managed to get that out. And this takes out Politoed. And my Whiscash does not have to see the battlefield this match. GG. Frostlass is tough, but in the lead is definitely where you'd want to see it. And all right, next set against Onion Frank. Pelipper into Medicham. I've seen this before. It's not a fantastic lead. He switches out into Ninetales, which, I look at that and I see, okay, most likely there is another Charmer in the back. So I throw a few more wing attacks, and I'm gonna throw my next Weather Ball water so that I can exchange shields with them. They sneak in a Charm, which is not great, but that seems to happen an awful lot with Charm. What can you do? And then I switch out to Whiscash, and I throw this Mud Bomb as soon as I have it so that they aren't able to reach another Weather Ball Ice, because I would, that would do a lot of damage to Whiscash. And there's a friggin' Shadow Victory Bell in the back. Was not expecting that at all. Gonna get this Mud Bomb out. And yeah, at this point, this is looking not great. I definitely want to save Pelipper for Medicham, so I'm waiting out my switch clock. And now I'm going to throw Medicham out. I sneak an encounter, which is nice, but not enough. I have to shield this Leaf Blade because it does devastating damage, way more than anything Medicham throws, and I'm trying to switch out to Pelipper right away, but not quite. My switch clock is not quite up yet. I throw this Weather Ball as soon as I've got it. In an ideal world, this would be a CMP tie, and I would take like an Ice Punch or something, but it was a CMP tie, but I'm only taking the Power Up Punch, so that's not great for me. I'm out of shields, they're out of shields, and I don't have Psychic, so I'm going to throw the Power Up Punch, because, a slightly boosted Ice Punch might be kind of enough. I'm not going to be able to throw 2 Ice Punches. They get to their move. It is the Psychic, and this Medicham takes me out. So yeah, GG to my opponent, Shadow Victory Bell. I was not expecting that. And I think Onion Frank is actually one of my subscribers on Twitch. So, I can't fault him for knowing what I have and, happening to have something that counters me. But yeah, still a positive set. I get up to 3267. And yeah, that landed me on number 13, actually right under Onion Frank. So if I had managed to turn that last match around, if I'd known he had Shadow Victory Bell, would have sent out Whiscash a lot earlier. But I mean, that's just part of being a content creator. Some people are going to kind of know what you have, and you're going to not quite know what they have. But I mean, it's all right. Onion Frank is a pretty dope dude and a very talented battler. So yeah, GG to him and to all of my other opponents. So those were my sets. Hope you enjoyed them. Play my team. It works really well. It doesn't get super shut down by a lot of things, but it also doesn't shut down a lot of things. So it's a lot of fun to play. You have a lot of really close games. This video is unbelievably long, so that's the end of this. Don't forget to do the things you're supposed to do at the ends of videos. You know what you're supposed to do. Push all the buttons. Do the things. Share my content. I need more viewers. I'll catch you guys on the next one.